You know, when you hear the word Bitcoin, two completely different images probably pop into your head. For some, it's the future of finance, right? But for others, it's the shady currency of the criminal underworld. And nowhere do those two stories crash into each other harder than in the world of Jeffrey Epstein. We've got one story of proven, documented corruption, and another, much darker tale of deep web conspiracy.
So that's what we're going to untangle today. What is the real connection between Bitcoin and some of the world's most disturbing crimes? We're going to look at the hard facts, the stuff we can actually verify. And then we're going to follow the white rabbit down a hole into a world of much more sinister allegations. All right, let's get into it.
Okay, first things first, let's ground ourselves in what we absolutely know is true. We're talking about the financial world that Jeffrey Epstein actually lived in. And this was a world of private jets, elite universities, and, you guessed it, incredibly powerful banks.
And the numbers, they're just staggering. A Senate Finance Committee report found that JP Morgan Chase processed over $1.1 billion for Epstein. But here's the craziest part. This was after he was convicted of sex crimes in 2008. So his real financial power, it didn't come from some new shadowy crypto. It came directly from the heart of the traditional banking system we all use.
This slide really lays it all out, doesn't it? For a guy like Epstein, moving huge sums of money, liquidity is everything. Traditional banks, they gave him billion-dollar capacity, no problem. Early Bitcoin back then, it was way too small, too volatile, too risky. And anonymity? Come on. He didn't need a public ledger when he allegedly had a banking compliance department that was willing to just look the other way. The evidence makes it crystal clear. His primary channel was the old-school, established system.
Now look at this timeline, because this is where it gets really interesting. Right as Epstein is trying to whitewash his reputation after his conviction, what happens? Bitcoin is born. And his interest just seems to grow in perfect lockstep with Bitcoin's own journey from the fringes to the mainstream. It really makes you wonder, was his goal to use Bitcoin, or was it to get inside and influence the very institutions that were shaping its future?
And boom, here it is, the smoking gun. In 2015, the head of the super prestigious MIT Media Lab, Joy Ito, fires off an email before he meets with Epstein. What does it say? Probably Bitcoin will be the first topic. This isn't just some passing comment. This is proof of a specific high-level interest in how Bitcoin works, right at the academic heart of it all.
And just look at who he was trying to get close to. Through these connections at MIT, Epstein was getting into the same room as the actual developers who were writing and maintaining the Bitcoin code. We're talking about people like Gavin Andresen, the lead developer at the time, and other core programmers. This was never about just buying something with crypto. This was about reputation laundering, about placing himself next to the brilliant minds of the future to try and make everyone forget the horrific crimes of his past. Okay, so that's the documented story. That's the world of emails and Senate reports. Now, we're going to take a sharp turn. We are leaving all of that behind and entering a much more speculative and, frankly, a much more disturbing story about Bitcoin that you'll find in the darkest corners of the internet. So welcome to the other side of the story. This is the world that conspiracy theories paint, a hidden ecosystem where cryptocurrency, government surveillance, and horrific human exploitation are all tangled together. Now, the absolute bedrock of this entire conspiracy theory is this one claim, that the cryptographic algorithm that secures every single Bitcoin transaction, it's called SHA-256, was actually designed and published by the U.S. National Security Agency, the NSA. And here's the thing. That's actually true. The NSA did develop SHA-256. Now, for security experts, this is a good thing. It's a trusted, open, public standard. But for conspiracy theorists, they see this as the ultimate truth, that Bitcoin was a trap from day one, a surveillance tool designed to create a public list of every crime that the government could secretly watch and control. And right at the dark heart of this theory is this horrifying, alleged substance called adrenochrome. According to the stories, it's a chemical compound that's harvested from children at moments of extreme fear and then sold to elites on the dark web, paid for with crypto, of course, for its supposedly life-extending and euphoric effects. The symbol for this whole hidden world? The white rabbit. Yeah, just like in Alice in Wonderland. Following the white rabbit has become code for diving deep into these secret online networks where this alleged adrenochrome trade is said to be happening. And the theory goes even deeper, drawing these symbolic connections. Theorists will point to Google's product names, its Adreno graphics chip, and its Chrome browser, and claim it's no coincidence. They see it as a hidden link, tying together state surveillance, big tech, and this alleged secret trade in adrenochrome. So now we have two totally different stories about Bitcoin and crime, right? One is a story of documented corruption happening inside our most trusted institutions. The other is a story of alleged horrors happening in the anonymous shadows. Let's put them side by side. So on one hand, you've got the crime of institutional complicity. You've got a powerful man, Jeffrey Epstein, using a major bank as his tool. This is a crime that happens inside the system because people and rules can be corrupted. On the other hand, you have the alleged crime of decentralized anonymity, faceless traffickers using dark web markets, a crime that exists completely outside the system. And that brings us to what might be the single most powerful takeaway from the forensic analysis of Epstein's money. This one sentence just says it all. Epstein didn't need a Bitcoin mixer, he had a major bank acting as one. A Bitcoin mixer is a tool to hide your crypto trail. The point is, he didn't need it. The old system gave him all the cover he could ever want. This really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Was Bitcoin a transactional necessity for him? Something he had to use to commit his crimes? The evidence just doesn't point to that. Instead, it looks more like a strategic hedge, an investment in the future, in the ideas, in the people building a new system. But the story doesn't end there, because whether the crime is real and documented or dark and alleged, the fight against the misuse of crypto is very, very real. And what's fascinating is that the fight is happening on the blockchain itself. So, meet the good guys. This is Project Hades, an initiative that uses incredible forensic tools to hunt human traffickers on the blockchain. They're not trying to destroy crypto, they're flipping the technology on its head and using it against the criminals. And here's how they do it. It's a simple playbook. First, they monitor. We're talking over 100,000 suspicious Bitcoin addresses are on their watch list. Then, they analyze. They trace the money on the public ledger, following the digital breadcrumbs. And finally, they collaborate with crypto exchanges and law enforcement to actually dismantle these networks. They turn the blockchain from a criminal shield into a prosecutor's sword. And this is the great paradox of Bitcoin, isn't it? The very thing that criminals think gives them cover, that pseudonymity, is tied to a public ledger that records every single transaction forever. That transparency, which was designed to create a system without needing trust, can become a permanent, unchangeable trail of evidence for anyone who knows how to read it. So we have to end with this question. What's the bigger threat to all of us? Is it the proven corruption of the powerful systems we're all taught to trust, the big banks, the elite universities, or is it the anonymity of the new systems we're all taught to fear? The story of Epstein and Bitcoin forces us to stare at both, and the answer, well, it's not simple at all.